Greetings all. We're now looking at the Pfizer chart. Let's go. So in front of me, I've got the monthly chart of Pfizer open. The question becomes, what is it that we can see that is of significance on this chart that we're looking at? So the first thing that I can see is that we had an inverted head and shoulders pattern in this area, with this part being the left shoulder. We had the head being here, and then we had the right hand shoulder being in this region. Just for illustration purposes, let me just do this quickly. Let's see. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Right, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then we saw price going up. Right. What else can I see, or what else can we see that is of significance? We also have this candlestick over here, which is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. This particular candlestick tells us that we have a whole lot of liquidity trapped at that level. So I'm just gonna mark it out so that we can see exactly what it is that I'm referring to, and also so that we do not forget about the fact that we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting in that area that needs to be activated by the market. There we go. So what else do we see? I'm just looking at this monthly chart for Pfizer. There's not much else that I can see, so what I'm gonna do now is head over to the weekly chart. There we go. We now have the weekly chart open. The first thing that I can see that is very important is that we have this information here. I'm just gonna draw it out. We have this information. It is not complete. It is still very much information, and we will consider it once price actually closes below the neckline, right? Because ideally what we would like to see is price coming to more or less this area and then going back to the neckline to retest it, and that's where we would look for a sell opportunity to around where we have that candle filling at the bottom. But for now it is not important, and let's continue. What else do we see? I'm just looking at this particular weekly chart of Pfizer. Another thing that's very important, over and above having this huge information, we also have this small overextended information as well. Just to put it out quickly, so we had this one, right, with the neckline being over here. Now we have also this one with the neckline being over there. For now, this is the most important information as it has already formed. And as I said, guys, that when it comes to M and W formations, ideally we would love to see price coming back to the neckline to retest it. So should price come back to the neckline, we would look for a selling opportunity at this point. And our first take profit would be at that point, and our second take profit would be at this point, right? Our third take profit would be right at the bottom where we had that candlestick that was a bearish candlestick with a long lower body and a small wick, which is somewhere down there, but it's more visible on the monthly chart. So let's continue. So for now, I'm just gonna actually add a neckline so that we don't forget about this information that we have on this weekly chart. There we go. So what else can we tell by looking at this particular weekly chart? Another thing that is very important that I can tell is that we have at this level here a gap. We have a gap at that level, And what that tells us is that there is plenty of liquidity trapped in that region, and that price sooner or later has to come to that point to grab some of that liquidity. But at this point, it is not important as price is still far off, and we have this information, and ideally, we would love to see it come to completion. So let's continue. What else can we see by just looking at this weekly chart? I don't see much really. So from here, I'm just gonna head on over to the daily chart. Here we go. We now have the daily chart open. Let's see what is significant on this particular chart. We have this candlestick over here. It's a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. So we have liquidity at that level. We have liquidity at that level. I'm also gonna mark it so we don't forget about it. There we go. What else can we tell by looking at this chart? There's this candlestick as well over here. It's a bullish candlestick with a long upper wick and a small body. So we have liquidity at this level. However, we're just going to ignore it for now, as the most important areas that we're looking at are this area here and this area. So let's continue. What else can we say, or what else can we see by just looking at this chart? I can see that we have this area right here, which is a strong area of support. Let me just actually do this quickly. Just bear with me. This area is a very strong area of support. I'm just going to make it a different color as well. There we go. Let's see. It's a very strong area of support. There we go. Also, another thing that seems to be happening is that the market or price seems to be creating a W formation in this region as well, right? Sorry, just bear with me. Let me just redraw it. It seems to be creating what seems to be a W formation. However, it is still very much in development. We can't really consider it as a W formation until it actually closes above this line, right? Nonetheless, should it happen that price closes above this neckline, I would not be looking for any buying opportunities. And the reason why is because we also have this information on this side with the neckline being there. So you can't have a situation where you have a W formation here and an M formation there, and you're looking to take entries at this level. That is very risky. So we would wait for the market to do or rather to actually close above this level or close above this level. If it closes above this level, then we can look for buying opportunities. Ideally, I would love to see price coming here and then going up. If it closes below this level, I would like to see price coming back to the neckline and then going down. But for now, we are not doing anything. However, the most important thing at this point, I think, is that price is testing this level, which is a support level, right? What else can we tell by looking at this chart? Let's see. Okay, there's not much that I can tell. What I'm gonna do now is actually add a channel on this daily chart. So please just bear with me. Let's see. I'm gonna edit from this point. Just make sure that all the the relevant points connect to each other. There we go. And then I'm gonna make it a black color. I'm gonna make it black. There we go. So guys, can you see that actually this area, or rather at this area, we might see a bounce all the way maybe to here, or even up to there, because we have a first touch here, second touch there, third touch here, which would have been our buy confirmation. Now we seem to have a fourth touch there, so we might be looking for a buying opportunity at this point, because one of the confirmations is that trend line on the daily chart, as well as, let's say, the fourth touch of the trend line, and we also have a strong area of support in this region. So there's a very big chance that price will actually bounce here and then head off this way, or it may come back to this neckline again and then push down to this area where we have candle filling that needs to happen. If it closes below this area, we may see it going to the other candle. Let me just go to the monthly chart again. We may actually see it coming to this area again where we have this candle filling. So let's head back to the daily chart. Okay. From here I do not see anything else that's of value, so I'm just gonna head on over to the H4 chart. On this chart I'm just gonna fix the equidistant channel that I have added on the daily chart. There we go, it's fixed. There we go. So what do we see here? What do we see here? This is the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, before I do anything, I'm just gonna add the H4 channel as well. Let's see, how would I add the H4 channel? Let me see. Let me try it this way. I'm not sure if it's gonna work this way, but let me just give it a shot. The reason why I say so is that ideally, I do not want to draw a very steep channel. The reason being is that steep channels are usually easily broken and they're not reliable. Yeah, so this is not so bad. There we go. I'm just gonna make it a blue in color. Let's see, there we go. Yeah, and then yeah, so that's where we are in terms of the H4 chart and channel. What else can we tell by looking at this particular chart? From here I don't see much, so what I'm gonna do is go to the H1 chart. But before I go to the H1 chart, I can already tell that buying or selling at this point where price is actually very risky. As I said to you, it's very risky, and the reason is because of this channel over here, as well as this daily channel as well that we drew earlier, and the fact that we have a support here and we have this huge information and the neckline being there. So it's very risky, in my humble opinion, to do anything at this point. Nonetheless, let's go to the H1 and see if there might be any buying or selling opportunities. Let's see. There we go. We've got the H1 chart open. Let me just fix my trend lines. see. There we go. There we go. All right, what do we see on this particular chart, which is the H1 chart? I can see that we have this candle over here. It's a bearish candle with a small body and a long lower wick, which says we have liquidity at this point. So price must come here for sure. Before price actually goes up, it must come here. Or what may actually happen is price may go up maybe to this point or even further, and then come back to grab this liquidity at this point over here. We also have what seems to be a small information here. Let me just drop it quickly. We have this information as well with the neckline being there, right? However, price hasn't really closed below the neckline. But should price close below the neckline, as I said, that we'd like to see it coming back to the neckline to test it. However, we have this strong support here. Even if price breaks this point, comes back to the neckline, I would not look for a selling opportunity here. What I would do is I would rather wait for price to close below this area here. And then that's when I would wait for it to come back to test this area, and then I would look for selling opportunities, right? But as I said earlier, that it's actually very risky at this point in time to be looking for any buying opportunities in this region. So the best thing to do is to actually wait for price to close below this strong support area. Once price does that, I would wait for price to come back to retest it and then head down, and then I would look for, let me just go back to the monthly chart. I would look for a take profit at around this area where we have this candle filling area. That's what I would do. Also, it would be in alignment with this M structure that I spoke about, with the neckline being there. So it's actually best, let me just redraw it. It's actually best to wait for price to close below this area, or to break this area, to close below this neckline, and then all you would have to do is wait for it to retest the neckline and then look for selling opportunities. If you find any, you sell all the way to around this area first. Actually, this would be your first take profit, and this would be your second take profit, in my humble opinion. I hope that makes sense. But as I said, just to go back to the H1 chart, at this point I would not do anything, because doing anything at this point would just be too risky, in my humble opinion. It's just too risky. Rather wait for price to close below this area. Let me just go to the H4 chart. Rather wait for price to close below this area, which is in line with that huge information, and which is the neckline of this huge information, and then wait for price to come back to the neckline and then look for selling opportunities at this point. So guys, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section. If there are any other charts that you would like me to have a look at quickly, just let me know. Otherwise, that is the Pfizer analysis. Thanks for watching, and peace out.